Boa tarde a todos. O nosso próximo orador vem da empresa Farfetch, é o Sergio Laranjeira, e entre muitas coisas vai discutir a performance das aplicações web. É por isso uma salva de palmas e bem-vindo.
All right. So, first of all, thank you all for coming here and not choosing the other room. I also like to thank to the Porto TechHub for the invitation. And basically today I'm going to talk to you about web performance, okay? About how you can make your website faster and the expectations that a user has when it visits your website. And performance is a great topic. People have been talking about this like a long, long time ago. And a few years ago, they even made the web performance rules. So normally when you're working as a web developer, you have to develop the cutting edge website. And normally what happens is that the design team gets to you and tells you, look, we have this amazing website full of images, really great. We even put some video on this. It's really amazing. It's going to look perfect. It's pixel perfect. It's going to be great. You just need to use that bootstrap thing you use and put that HTML6 and CSS4, and it's going to look awesome. Okay? So that's the first step. Okay. You start looking at that and say, hard work. Then the marketing team comes to you and tells you, look, we have this amazing 20 third-party scripts we're going to put there. It's going to be even better. And you just start looking at the work and it's, okay, this is going to be huge. But then your CTO gets to you and tells you, look, this also has to be fast. And you said, okay, so my job now is to make all this work and still make the website fast. But why fast? Why does your website needs to be fast? And let's hope this goes now. No? Okay, here you go. So why does your website needs to be fast? That's something people have been talking a lot in the latest months. And did you look at this animation? It sucked, right? Because it was slow. So that's why you need to be fast. Because people's perception has been changing a lot. Jacob Nielsen has been studying about this. Like, the human perception is changing so much that people expect your website to be on that little circle, okay? You need to be on that interval. You need to be 300 milliseconds, your website needs to give an answer to the user. And if your website loads until 1 second, that's okay. But if your website loads in 10 seconds, then you're doomed. People are never going to visit your website again. And what's been happening is this really matters? Does it really matter that the website loads faster? Well, actually it matters a lot. The conversion rate, it gets much slower, much smaller, if your website takes more time to load. This is a graphic that I take from the data from HTTP archive. And it's really funny, like you can check even on the first interval, the conversion rate is not that high, but then it gets really low when your website takes a lot of seconds to load. So that's really important And the conversion rate is really affected. There's been a lot of studies about this, and people say that 1 second delay actually takes you 7% of sales. And 7% of sales on 30 million per month, that gives you around 25 million a year. That's something you need to take to your CEO and tell him, that's why performance is important. That's why loading a website faster, it's really important. But what's been happening? Why websites are slower now? Well, 2013 to 2014, the websites take from 5 to 7 seconds to load. That's stupid, right? Connections are faster. We should deliver a better experience, but we're not. We're putting more and more stuff on this. And this has to do with this little graphic that I can show you. People are just loading more and more and more. And more resources, and the size of the websites is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And people don't care about this most of the times because they think, come on, I have a great connection at home. The website loads like in 2 seconds, really fast. Okay? Most of the times that's what happened because we have this amazing MacBook Pro with a very good connection, right? But some people actually still use Windows XP, right? With a very, very bad connection. That's what's happening. And sorry, okay. Hadi Osmani actually said this on a conference very recently. If you want to be fast, you have to give up the things that are slowing you down. So you need compromise. You need to start thinking about what I'm going to do to make my website faster. That's really important. So first thing, you have a lot of tools you can use to check if your website is slow or not. There's some of the tools we've already been trying, like Speed Curve, like Web Page Test. That's amazing tools you can use to check if your website is slow or not. That's the first thing you need to try to do is use a lot of tools. So what I'm going to show you here is a small test we made on web page test about one website. And when you use web page test, does anyone here use web page test and knows what it is? No? Okay, not a lot of people. Web page test basically is something where you put the address of your website and it gives you all these metrics, okay? Basically it gives you how long your website is taking to load and some of the values that I'm going to talk here to you. So like the load time, first byte, start rendering, blah, 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 okay? But if you want to know what's really fast or not, there's a value here you can check. And this is speed index, okay? If you want to know just like, okay, is my website fast or not? Look at that. Look at that value. If it's above 3,000, your website is really slow. It sucks. And as you can see here, this website sucks, okay? And if your website is faster than that and the speed index is lower than 3,000, it's good. To be perfect, you need to be like underneath 1,000. That's the value that you need to look. You may not understand anything about web performance. That's the first value you should look and check if your website is slow or not. This is testing on desktop and mobile. Okay, so you can test it. You need to test on very different devices right now. So you need to test with different connections and speeds. And this web page test is a great tool for you to do that. And after doing that, you see, okay, this website sucks. So I need to start looking at the performance rules. This is the basic of web performance. So 14 rules. They were written by Steve Souders in 2007. And this is like the basic that you need to do for your website to be fast. Okay? This is like the minimum you have to do. You should be doing this. And if you work as a web developer, you need to do this like since day one. Okay? But this is not going to be enough. Okay? This is like only the 14 first steps that you have to do. And they're a lot. Because after that, you need to start looking at your data and check what's going well and wrong. And after looking at the data like this, you see that most of the pages, 63% of the weight of the pages is on images. This is an average from 2015. So more than half of your website is going to be images. So what can you do? You should like compress and optimize your images. There are a lot of tools you can use for this. And this is like some guys of the eBay already talked about grunt and gulp today. That works good for me, so I don't have to explain what's this. And you can use some of the tasks that is image min and image optim, or even WebP, that is like converting your images to the format of WebP that is from Google. This is the first step you can do. But this can be hard, so you can use some services that do that for you. JPEG Mini, it's a great service you can use online. Compressor.io also. You just put your images there. They're much smaller. They look much better on the website. So that's good. You already compress your images. Great thing. What's next? Styles. So like the designer said, I'm using Bootstrap, right? So who's using Bootstrap? Who knows who's Bootstrap? That's better. Okay. A lot of you use Bootstrap, right? So the styles, the original styles of Bootstrap had 120K, right? If you minify it, 110. That's good, right? But what most of us don't know is like if you should remove the unused CSS, the unused rules, you could put this to 100K. That's like more than 90% of the weight that you have on your CSS and your rules that can be thrown away. And that's something you can do. Also, Grunt has this task on CSS that can check your rules and check how many rules you're actually using. You can also use Chrome DevTools to check this. Actually, I went to this website that you probably know, and I've checked that it has more than 7,032 unused rules on the page. That's way too much. Okay? And that's from the website of this conference. We'll talk more about that later. Also, after this, okay, I've removed the unused CSS. Now I'm going to do a thing that is called defining the critical path. And this is something that even a lot of fellows at work have been talking about. This is like changing everything you know about CSS almost, okay? Because normally what we do is like we separate the CSS from the HTML, right? But actually what I'm saying here is that we're going to send CSS with the HTML file right there, as you can see. And that's sending the critical CSS. What this means is that you're going to send the most essential CSS on the first request. This is going to make your web page load much faster, and the perception of performance is going to be much better. But this is hard to do because you need to choose critically the CSS that you actually need. Just the necessary to make it work, to make it look really fast. This is a hard work you can do. There are a lot of tasks also of Grunt that can do this, but most of the times you have to do this like very long time working, studying, and checking what's really going to work with you. Okay? Don't try to guess it, but test it. But this is going to change, thank God. Okay? HTTP2 is coming, and this is going to make you just, instead of just sending the HTML file, you can send the HTML file and the CSS file, because you know exactly like the first thing that is going to load after the HTML file is going to be the CSS, right? So this act that we're using for critical path, you may change it in a few years, I would say. Already, it's supported by around 56% of the browsers that cannot use this testing. That's a good thing, but still, it's in the near future. Okay, we've optimized the CSS. We've optimized the images. What's next? We're going to optimize the fonts. And this happens a lot. You go to a website, and you're waiting for Google APIs, or Google fonts, in this case, to load. And don't get me wrong, I love Google. I love their fonts. But this is getting the web really slow, because most of the times, this is blocking the rendering of your page. So you can do much other techniques. And the first thing you can do is like using a web-safe font that is similar to the one that you're going to load. And after that, you can do this amazing trick. We already use this at Farfetch, and a lot of people are using this, like The Guardian. They're putting the font on the local storage. And this is something like really incredible. You convert your font to a base 64 using a service at FontSquirrel that basically joins all your font in a CSS file. This is going to work perfectly, especially after this little small act we do. So the first thing is like we ask to the browser some questions like, is the browser has support for local storage or not? If it doesn't, we deliver the font exactly like you used to. Okay, we just deliver a link to the font. But if it has, we ask, okay, but do we already have it on the local storage, the current version that we're using? Yes or no? If it has, we just load the font to the document. If it doesn't, then we download the font asynchronously, and then we give it to the document and then to the local storage. We're doing this, and it's great, okay? Actually, we're doing this with two different kinds of fonts, because we have the icon glyphs and we have the typography font. And we have two different fonts on the local storage, so if we want to change one of the fonts, we don't need to download both of them. We just download the one that we need. This got much better, okay? Oh, sorry. So the fonts are great. The images are great. Everything is working perfectly. Now it's the JavaScript I have to optimize, right? And most of us, they're using this, right? Who's using jQuery every day? All right. jQuery is great. It's fast. It's easy, right? It's just 100 kilobytes of pure JavaScript we have to put there, right? So most of the times, we just use jQuery because it's good, right? But you might not need jQuery, okay? And you might just have to have to use pure JavaScript, okay? Because people are downloading 100 kilobytes of JavaScript, of jQuery, that is actually just doing almost nothing. Most of the times, because you're just manipulating the DOM, and most of the times you don't use everything that is there, right? So you can also use this website. It's really great to test and to check if your JavaScript is really good. And this is a small test we did. So the code there on jQuery, it's really easy. Easy selector, right? And the other code is pure JavaScript. Actually, it's 94% faster. Okay, so think again when you're going to use jQuery, and if you actually need it, okay? Think every time that you need to use some kind of this code of jQuery, think twice if you should use it or not. So everything is fast, okay? We've optimized everything. The website looks incredible. So now we put it online. And how do we know, actually, if our website is being fast or not? This is the next commitment you need to make, and this is the performance budget. Everybody's doing this, okay? At Etsy, The Guardian, everybody's doing this. And it's really important for you to commit with the values that you have to have on your website. And this is like the speed index, once again, there the value is, okay? That's like the first thing you need to check. And right there, we have two columns. We have one that we say, this is our budget, so it has to be less than 2,000. That's the value that we always want. And there's the perfect target. That's 1,000. That's like, we need all, as a team, to build a website that gets to that value. Every day, all the time. That's going to be your commitment as a team, as a company, to get there. You have the budget, that's the first part, but then you're always going to try to get to the perfect target. And you get all of those things, like the other values, like even HTML errors count. Everything counts for you to have a faster website. And this, if you have a commitment between everyone at the company, you'll have a great performance culture. This is like everybody is working to have a faster website. Faster websites sell more. I already told you about that. Okay, so it's important for you to know this. And you need, like, everybody's job is going to be to make the website look faster. Okay, you need to optimize, repeat the tasks all the time. You're going to optimize a piece of code, and after a week that, you have to optimize it again. Okay, that's your job as a team to do it constantly. You need to share the results with everyone. Okay, show graphics of what's happening to the website. Show graphics of why the website is slow in Spain, why the website is slow in Australia. You need to have that data. And you need to show that data to everyone, even to your CEO, and tell it why the website is not working that good on China. And after this, you need to know that sometimes having the perception of being fast is much more important than actually being fast. Showing something to the user instantly is much more important sometimes than actually loading all the website. Okay? Show something to the user in the moment that it gets into your website and tell them that the machine is working. Tell them that you're doing and delivering stuff. Human perception is changing so much that people expect so much things to be fast. So you have to be doing that every day on your job, especially on a website. On e-commerce websites is even more crazy. But there are good news, of course. Okay, the future, it's going to be amazing for sure. And the first thing is going to be to tell to your CEO that you're actually throwing away everything you've done until today and start doing it again, because the technology is changing. And when you do that, probably you'll do it to make the website much faster in a performance culture environment. And that's going to be much better to do, much easier to do. And the web technologies are allowing to this be like an instant experience, okay? Because you're doing, the web technologies, the evolution is so big that things are going to feel like instant. When you go to Google, you don't expect it to take 10 seconds to search. When you send an email, you expect it to be delivered in the next second. And that's what people expect. So your commitment as a web developer is to every day do that experience on your website. And don't ever forget that this is like a huge race. You're fighting against everything all the time. And this is the page you need to beat. Okay, this is the fastest page on earth. And you have to beat this page. This is like your commitment is like this. So each time you go to a website, this is really fast. Don't forget in the next step there is a faster website. Okay, and this is like has to be your baseline. This is like the fastest website on earth. So good luck with that. And the other thing I was talking about, like before finishing, is like I talk about the Porto TechHub website, right? And it was really slow, right? You check the graphics. Actually, the person that developed that was me. Okay? And my commitment now is to make that website faster every day. Okay? Thank you very much.